I'm not sure if you guys remember, but Jose Ramirez, yes, the Jose Ramirez, one of the best players in baseball, probably right now, the best third baseman in all of Major League Baseball, once upon a time had a stretch from 2018 to 2019 where he was actually one of the worst hitters in all of baseball. So if anything, he shows that the players that we're going to talk about in today's video, they're more than capable of bouncing back. If this is your first time on the channel, we talk baseball almost every single day. I know it's a little bit boring, the fact that baseball is in a lockout, but if you want to see any other rankings like today, let me know some suggestions in the comment section down below. And without further ado, let's start talking baseball. I cannot believe that Christian Yelich is making this list in back-to-back years. We had him in a video similar to this a year ago after his poor 2020 season, but we all thought that he was going to bounce back because he had an injury in 2019. The quarantine year wasn't very good to him, and we thought, hey, a fresh start in 2021 means that we're going to get prime Yelich back, and unfortunately, yeah, he got worse. He had a 99 OPS plus, which means that he was a below average hitter, and that's in large part because his power has almost completely vanished. From 2018 to 2019, he had a 631 slugging and a 171 OPS plus. He was Barry Bonds Jr., and in 2021, he had a 392 slugging. Now, he still got on base at a 36% clip, which is really good, so there's still hope for Mr. Yelich, but unfortunately, without that power, he's kind of just average. I could almost make the case that Gleyber Torres is the infield version of Christian Yelich, because if we look at those same years, 2018 to 2019, Gleyber Torres had a 511 slugging and a 125 OPS plus. He was on the come up. Everyone was talking about how Gleyber Torres was going to be the next big thing, but over his last 170 games dating back to the beginning of 2020, he only has 12 home runs and a 95 OPS plus. And when you compare that to all of 2019, he had 38 home runs and a 128 OPS plus. He was a monster. Then when you factor in his negative 12 defensive run saves in 2021, Gleyber Torres, now I don't think he's truly there just yet, but he's becoming a liability. Now, luckily, our next player will never be a liability because of how slick he is with the glove. Francisco Lindor will always be an elite defender at shortstop, but he wasn't very good with the bat yet again. Now, he did end 2021 on a good note, but the offense, it has steadily slipped since the end of 2019. From 2015 to 2019, he had a 493 slugging and a 119 OPS plus. From 2020 to 2021, his 413 slugging isn't horrible. It's actually better than Christian Yelich in 2021, and his 102 OPS plus would suggest that he was an above average hitter. He did end 2021 on a good note, a reminder, but I think that we can all agree, especially if you're a Mets fan, that Francisco Lindor, he has a higher ceiling than that, so I'm expecting a bounce back season and maybe even an MVP season in 2022. Just like Christian Yelich, I did not expect to have Cody Bellinger in one of these videos in back-to-back years, but unfortunately he took another step back. But just like Francisco Lindor, Cody Bellinger is so good on the base pass as well as with his glove that he somewhat makes up for his lack of offense. Now, Francisco Lindor was better, so let me give him the benefit of the doubt, but Cody Bellinger, good lord, check out these stats. Over his last 151 games, he has a combined 0, let me repeat that, a 0 baseball reference WAR, a 278 on base percentage, and a 72 OPS plus over those 151 games. He showed some life in these previous playoffs, so I'm hoping that he can redeem himself and return back to MVP form just like Christian Yelich, because if that happens, baseball is about to get even more exciting. The first pitcher that we're going to talk about in today's video is Mr. Aaron Nola of the Phillies, and if you're a Philly fan, you might be thinking to yourself, Fuzzy, Mr. Nola had a 3.37 FIP in 2021, so it shows how nasty he can be, but my point in which Aaron Nola needs to bounce back is his consistency. From 2017 to 2020, he had a 133 ERA plus, and just like OPS plus, average means 100, so he was 33% better in terms of ERA plus. So to have a 90 ERA plus in 2021, even though he had a pretty good 3.37 FIP, it shows that he underperformed, and the biggest reason why opponents, they absolutely mashed when runners were in scoring position. So he has to become a little bit more clutch. He has to strand runners more often, and he has the stuff to do so. He just can't allow the home run in the 6th, 7th inning that gives the opposing team the lead back. It's just, it can't happen anymore, and it happens way too frequently, and especially in 2021. I'm not going to spend too much time on Hunter Dozier because I don't think that he has superstar potential, but in my opinion, Hunter Dozier at his peak can be a star in Major League Baseball, and the Royals even think so as well because they gave him a solid contract extension, but he immediately fell off a cliff and might have been the worst player in baseball in the first half of 2021. In 180-ish games from 2019 to 2020, he had a really good 347 on base percentage and a 120 OPS plus. Those are star numbers. Luckily, he ended 2021 strong, but his 81 OPS plus and negative 2.5 baseball reference WAR were still horrific, and almost the same story applies to Alec Bohm. Now, maybe you can blame the growing pains of a sophomore season, but we cannot run away from the fact that Alec Bohm was bad, like borderline horrific over the course of 2021 after putting up a 400 on base percentage and a 137 OPS plus in his first 44 games back in 2020. Both of those stats fell dramatically along with his defense. He was terrible as a defender. He had a 75 OPS plus in 115 games and a whopping negative 15 DRS between first and third base. So he wasn't good in the batter's box. He wasn't good on the field no matter where you put him. Alec Bohm must have a breakout season in 2022. Otherwise, he might be replaced by an up-and-coming Bryson Stott. Maybe they put him at third base and they sign another shortstop. Anything can happen. Rhys Hoskins could go to first base. They might put JT Realmuto in left field to save his legs. Alec Bohm, he's kind of on the bubble. At the end of the 2021 season, we saw that DJ LeMahieu still had a pretty solid 341 on base percentage, but his power, just like other players that we've talked about, completely left him. It was his lowest slugging since 2014, almost 7 years ago. He only had 35 extra base hits in 150 games after having nearly 90 in his previous 195. Not only that, but his 268 batting average was also his worst since 2014. We know DJ LeMahieu is a gap-to-gap power hitter with some contact, especially in Yankee Stadium. But without that power and without coming in clutch, he grounded into a few double plays, at least from what I saw. Yankees fans, they're not going to be happy with his contract moving forward. Once upon a time, I can't believe that I'm even saying this. I could be hyperbolic, I could be being dramatic, but I genuinely thought that Eugenio Suarez had superstar potential. From 2017 to 2019, he was a freak with a nearly 370 on base percentage and a nearly 130 OPS plus. This dude was terrific. And then in 2021, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. His 364 on base percentage from 2017 to 2019 fell to 286, and his 130-ish OPS plus fell to 80. So he was 20% worse than the average hitter in 145 games, and he was a terrible defender with -9 defensive run saves. Eugenio Suarez, he's got to get back on track if the Reds are going to be a competitive team. He's still good with the pop, but everything else, it's not good. And last but certainly not least, all I really have to say is yikes. Check this out. Patrick Corbin from 2017 to 2018 had a 129 ERA plus, which again means that he was 29% better than the average starting pitcher. He had a 3.3 FIP and a 10.1 strikeouts per nine. Patrick Corbin was one of the better left-handed pitchers in the game, but over the last 2 seasons, his 129 ERA plus dropped to 76. He has a 5.06 FIP and his 10.1 strikeouts per nine dropped all the way to 7.7, and he's getting paid $24 million a season. The Nationals, they are really bashing their heads on the desk for this signing because he has been terrible. I'm hoping for the best, but I just don't know about those peripherals. It's not looking good. Thank you guys all so much for watching. That is going to do it for today's video. All of the 10 players that we talked about, I really hope that they do bounce back because them playing at their peak is going to make the game of baseball a whole lot more exciting, and I just really hope that the lockout comes to an end soon because some of these guys, maybe they're in trade discussions, maybe they get moved, who knows, but that does it. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.